For decades, full-fat cheese has been cast as a cardiovascular culprit, blamed for clogged arteries, elevated cholesterol, and heart attacks in waiting. It was lumped into the saturated fat fear frenzy of the late 20th century, where butter, cream, and cheese were all considered dietary disasters by default. But as it turns out, science evolves, and so should our attitudes toward cheese. Emerging research is not just softening the stance on full-fat dairy, it's flipping the script entirely. In an unexpected but delicious twist, full-fat cheese may not only be harmless for heart health, it might even be helpful. Recent studies have shown that consuming full-fat dairy, including cheese, is not associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. In fact, in some populations, moderate intake of full-fat cheese is linked to improved lipid profiles. Yes, better cholesterol numbers, not worse. That's because cheese isn't just a lump of saturated fat floating around with nowhere to go. It's a complex food matrix made up of bioactive peptides, fermentation byproducts, calcium, vitamin K2, and beneficial fatty acids like conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, all of which interact with your body in ways far more nuanced than the old fat equals bad equation would suggest. In controlled studies, people who include full-fat cheese in their diets often see no rise in LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad kind, and in some cases their HDL, good, cholesterol even goes up. More interestingly, the LDL particles in cheese eaters tend to shift from small and dense, which are more atherogenic, to larger and fluffier ones, which are considered far less dangerous. Translation: even if LDL levels don't drop, the type of LDL that shows up becomes less likely to cause harm. There's also the calcium factor. Cheese is one of the best dietary sources of calcium, which doesn't just strengthen bones. It also binds to some fats in the intestine and may reduce their absorption. That's right, cheese may partially neutralize its own fat content by sending some of it right out the back door. Combined with other compounds like milk fat globule membrane, MFGM, which has anti-inflammatory properties, the overall effect is far more heart-friendly than once believed. And let's not overlook vitamin K2, particularly abundant in fermented cheeses like Gouda and Brie. K2 helps guide calcium away from arteries and into bones, where it belongs. This is a critical function in preventing arterial calcification, a silent and serious contributor to heart disease. So, ironically, cheese may not just be not bad for your heart, it may actively support the prevention of vascular damage. Of course, context still matters. Nobody's suggesting a steady diet of cheese-covered everything. But within a balanced, whole food-based diet, full-fat cheese can easily take its place at the table, not as a dietary threat, but as a flavorful, functional food that supports cardiovascular health when consumed in reasonable amounts. So maybe it's time to stop viewing full-fat cheese as a guilty pleasure and start recognizing it as part of a broader dietary renaissance, one that celebrates real food, rejects outdated fat phobia, and respects the complexity of how nutrition truly works. Your heart and your taste buds might thank you.